Hey guys, Hammer here. I'm excited today because I'm doing something a little different. I don't think it's anything that'll be off putting to you guys though. We're going to be talking about movies. But the other day, I was watching some videos on YouTube and I came across something that I had never heard of. And maybe you've heard of it, I don't know. But anyway, it was Justice League of America, a TV pilot on CBS that I had never heard of that happened in 1997. Um, we'll get into that movie specifically here in a minute, but I'd never heard of this. I watched, and if you saw the description, you know that I'm going to be comparing it to Generation X, which is like kind of an offshoot of X-Men from. I mean, that's not exactly accurate, but anyway, that's in the ballpark if you're not familiar with it. That came out on Fox in 1996. And that one I heard about and I was excited for, and I recorded it and stuff when it came on TV. And so I was surprised I'd never heard of Justice League of America. And then, thirdly, I decided to compare it to the unreleased Fantastic Four film. And I'll hold this up again when we talk about it. But there's my bootleg packaging for the unreleased Fantastic Four. This is the only one I have in my collection, but the other two are streaming on YouTube. Well, not YouTube. The other two are streaming, and I will link to those as long as they're still available in the comments. But so anyway, we're just going to be comparing and contrasting Justice League of America from CBS 1997, Generation X from Fox 1996, and Fantastic Four, the unreleased film from 1994 presented by Roger Corman. So that's what we're doing. I don't have a whole lot to say or anything, but I just, more than anything, I wanted to mention these, and because if someone like me didn't know about one of them, they're out there, and it's kind of an interesting thing to watch, right? Like, I actually had a really good time watching these. Like, I thought there'd be one that I was like, yeah, this one's okay, and the rest are not so great. But despite their problems, I actually enjoyed watching all three of these. So, actually, I would like to put a call out to you guys that if there's any kind of other superhero films that either were poorly received or were just pilots on TV or something like that. Like, I really enjoyed watching these, so hit me up in the comments if you know of anything like that. Maybe even some fan films. I know I watched a Batman fan film last year that was pretty good. I know, like, if you're into horror movies, there's the Friday the 13th fan film, Never Hike Alone. That's pretty good. And there's a Power Rangers fan film that I think is pretty good. Or maybe it's just a short film, like a hype film or something. Anyway, any of that stuff that you think would be of interest to me, go ahead and hit me up in the comments, because I enjoyed watching these, even though they're kind of silly. Some of them, I enjoyed it. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Justice League of America. Sorry, gotta get my phone because I want to try to show you guys something. The video I watched seemed to indicate that part of the failure was the fact that they couldn't get the rights for Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman. I totally disagree with that. You can certainly make a good film using other heroes. Like, to me, the strength of the film is that because of that, we do get Flash and the Green Lantern in a live action film on screen together at the same time. We didn't get that in the Justice League, and I assume we didn't get that in Green Lantern because I haven't seen it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. The Flash wasn't in Green Lantern, was he? If he was, I didn't know it. But so that's cool. I think that's really neat. We also get Martian Manhunter. That's cool. That's a bit of a spoiler, but you can probably see that coming. The other strength of the film to me is some of the casting. Michelle Hurd is in it. She's from Law and Order. She also played in Daredevil. She's a very good actress. She's in the film. She plays Fire. Uh, Miguel Ferrer is in it. If you watched Crossing Jordan, he was like the head ME or whatever, medical examiner, or coroner. I don't know, whatever they were. But I watched that show a lot, so I was excited to see that he was in this. The weaknesses of the film, you guys, these costumes are awful. Like, if they were as good in 97, like, if they were the exact kind of costumes in 97 that Adam West wore in the 60s Batman, they would have been better. Like, these were god awful. I do not know what they were thinking with these outfits. But also, another problem is they have Flash in a bright red costume, right? They have Captain Atom in a blue costume. They have Fire in a green costume. Not sure who I'm forgetting there, but they get to Green Lantern and they're like, well, Fire's already wearing green, so what are we going to have Green Lantern wearing? I would submit this. If you're going to have Green Lantern and Fire competing for who wears green, maybe let Green Lantern wear green. Maybe change Fire to another color. Just a thought. Just a thought. Anyhow, what we get is Green Lantern in a teal costume. And I'm being generous with teal because it seems like it depends on your screen what it looks like. I've seen screenshots that look Carolina blue, and I've seen screenshots that look teal. I'm going to say teal because my screen, it appeared teal. But why is Green Lantern not green, you guys? Why is Green Lantern not in a green costume? I don't understand. I do not understand. I just don't. Alright, so I'm going to try to show you a picture on my phone of this. Just try to get across how kind of ridiculous it does look. I'll start with a shot of the group. Let's see if you guys can see it here. Ooh, this isn't going to work very good. There you kind of get an idea, I guess. I'll go to a close-up. The problem with this is that with that teal, if you didn't see that logo there, you would probably think maybe that's Nightwing, right? Like, that's kind of what I thought at first. I thought, oh, it has Nightwing in it? That's kind of cool. Just watching the trailer, that was my impression because it's not green. I thought, I guess that's Nightwing? I don't know. So anyhow, very weird costuming. The villain, and this is kind of true of this one and Generation X, the villain is very much like the villains you get on like Smallville, right? Like, Smallville really works, don't get me wrong. I love Smallville. But the characters, you fall in love with the characters on that, like Lana Lang, Zoe, although that actress in real life, a little bit dicey, huh? But you fall in love with the actors and the characters in that show, and then you kind of get stock villains, right? Like, that's very much what we get here. Called the Weatherman, and he's creating like tornadoes and stuff in the city of New Metro, by the way, is the name of the city. And so that's a little bit weak, I guess, but you know, they're trying to, it's a TV pilot that ends up being a movie, so they were probably trying to start a pilot where they could circle through these villains and maybe get to some of the more classic villains as they went. So I don't really fault them for that. The dialogue is pretty wonky at times, but I do enjoy it. I did enjoy it. There's also an aspect of it's almost like a sitcom at times. Like they all share this apartment except for the Flash, but he moves in during the episode. And it's almost like a Friends vibe, right? Like they just kind of come and go in the apartment, and I think they all lived there. I'm not positive on that, but and it's like, oh, so Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern, he has commitment issues. The Flash has a hard time keeping a job because, well, I don't really know because when you're the fastest man alive, how's it that hard? But I don't know. Like it kind of explains it that he's too fast at times, I guess. I don't know. But and then I forgot to look this up, but Fire, Michelle Hurd's character, was being pursued by a young guy, too young for her, in her opinion. And I believe he was played by the head elf in the Santa Claus. So, I don't know. All that is kind of weird, the dynamic of the apartment and the sitcominess of it, but it's kind of fun, you guys. I kind of enjoyed it. The powers, they look pretty good for TV, I think. I mean, one character can freeze, water, and one character, well, obviously, Green Lantern can use his lasso, and the Flash runs fast. All that looks fine. I mean, for TV, it looks fine. But the costumes, they're so bad. So bad. I just wish the costumes weren't so awful. But anyway, I had a good time with it. I'll link in the description. Check it out if you want. So then we have Generation X, Fox, 1996. This plays it much more serious. The humor is only just incidental humor, like real life, more or less. I also forgot to look this up, but I'm almost positive Tyler Labine is in this. Maybe I'm saying his name wrong. I don't know. But the guy from Tucker and Dale versus Evil. He's standing next to Jubilee when she's playing at the arcade, and then that's all we see him. So that's interesting if that's the case. Pretty sure it is. Wish I had looked it up, but the costuming is much better in this. You do have the White Queen. Well, they don't call her the White Queen. Emma Frost. She's only referred to as Emma. Emma Frost is in it. She sticks out compared to everybody else. Everybody else just kind of wears normal clothes, which is kind of an X-Men thing. For the most part, they wear the clothes. Now, when they go out on a mission, they do suit up in their X-Men uniforms, but we don't get that until the very end of the film, and then I would say, yeah, that looks a little silly too, but it's just kind of introducing the costumes. We don't actually see them all in the costumes. The characters, you have Emma Frost, you have Sean Cassidy, Banshee. You have Jubilation Lee. You have Mondo and Skin, and then you have about 3 others or 4 others that to be honest, I just don't know who they are. But they're pretty cool. I'll say that the one thing I would say about this one is that you don't really get to see the powers a whole lot. And when you do, it's kind of just like, okay, this guy shoots stuff out of his eyes. Skin stretches. The other guy can touch stuff and become, like, if he grabs a rock, he becomes solid as a rock. So if somebody punches him, that hurts them, but it doesn't actually do anything. You don't see anything. So, I don't know. I mean, the powers are kind of the weak part in this one. But it is fun to watch. Like, it's a fine watch. It doesn't... I mean, it just takes itself seriously. It's just setting up what's going on here, and it's pretty good, I think. I said it takes itself seriously, and I still think it does. But there is one character I need to talk about, which is the villain, played by Matt Frewer. And this guy does mid 90s Jim Carrey as good as mid 90s Jim Carrey does. And that's what he does in this show. He's really over the top. He's got this idea of getting a hold of a mutant brain and somehow harnessing the power and injecting it into himself. And he's very over the top and very fun. I think very fun. And there's this whole idea of dream worlds and real world, and so he's got a machine like Cerebro. You know what? I don't think that machine was Cerebro, now that I say that. He has a machine where he can go into the dream world. The Xavier Institute has a machine where they can go into the dream world, and so they can collide in the dream world. And so that's kind of an interesting idea. I do like this. I think this works pretty well. Like when I watch this, and I think about when I watched that. Oh man, what is that new X-Men series? Maybe it wasn't called X-Men, but it was on Hulu, I think. I can't remember what it's called, but when I compare the two, like I'm like, I mean, other than just the money behind it and the more contemporary feel, I think this is good. It competes with it well, I think, because both have like kind of your lesser characters, and I think this works well. The Well, anyway, I don't really remember what I was going to say, but Generation X is a solid show. The cast, is there anybody other than Matt Frewer? I don't think there's anybody really to mention other than Matt Frewer. I was going to mention that the Xavier Institute, some of the shots in this are actually the same mansion used in some of the X-Men films. So that's pretty cool. Which I guess brings us to Fantastic Four. And I guess I'll just read this. Though much maligned, this live-action version of Comicdom's Fantastic Four does manage to stay faithful to its comic book counterpart. The characters are likable, the origin scenes are done well, with a climax and surprise ending that at least gets its money's worth, reported to be as much as $2 million. I feel like I need to say that, let's see if I can get a picture of kind of what you're getting here. That surprise ending they talk about, if you know anything about the Fantastic Four, probably doesn't surprise you, but this is not bad. Like, of the films I've talked about, as far as setting up an origin, I think this does better, or at least as well as others. It captures what happens to Victor Von Doom, captures what happens to the Fantastic Four. We see them learning to deal with their powers, what happens with their powers. It does do that thing where, for some reason, they feel like they have to inject two villains into all these films. And I don't understand that. Like, we have to have the Jeweler and Doom, who both kind of run into each other competing to steal the same thing. I don't know. I guess you could argue that it works in the story, but it seems awful convenient, right? Like they both want the same diamonds, like large diamond. As far as the effects, you got to remember this is an unfinished movie, so I don't know what kind of effects we might have gotten, but what's in the film, very rough, without a doubt. Um, I do think Doom's design is very good. I think the Thing's design is very good, but rubbery. So if they had been able to go in and keep the way the design, the shading, everything about the costume looks, but made it look more solid, more more substance, less rubbery, then I would love it. I think it looks great. Um, Certainly looks like practical, and I think it's good. Like I said, if it just could be, if it could look less rubbery, it would look great. The cast, I think, is pretty good. Like, I don't think, I don't. I mean, it's not. So let's see. Like, what were we like? If we were to compare this to something like, I mean, look, this is after some of the Star Trek movies, right? If we were going to compare the effects, the space scenes, the acting, all that, I mean, looks vastly inferior to that. But this had a lot lower budget too, right? I mean, so I don't know. Um, Fantastic Four. I don't really love the jeweler. I don't. I mean, it's okay. It serves purposes in the film, but I don't know if it was absolutely necessary. Um, it is cool that they included Alicia Masters in the film. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad film at all. If it had the money to finish the film and the effects looked better, like in particular the Human Torch, he never flames up until the very end. I mean, he'll flame on and show flame in his hand, and he'll shoot flame, but he never fully flames up until the very end. And it's a scene that could work well, but it just looks really bad. I mean, really, really rough. So if they had finished that and it looked better, then for sure this could be a releasable film. I think it'd be neat to see somebody. I mean, I don't think Marvel's gonna do it. I don't think Disney's gonna do it. But it would be cool for somebody to take this film and go in and digitally do some stuff to the effects and try to make it look better. That would be really neat to see, I think. Um, Maybe somebody has. I don't know. If you know of anything like that, let me know. Um, but anyhow, I guess that's my comparison of Justice League of America versus Generation X versus Fantastic Four. All 90s superhero TV pilots slash TV films and unreleased film in the case of Fantastic Four. Which one is the best? I mean, I feel like because it lacks the characters that most people know, that this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but or that maybe if they really all if people really watched all these, they would come to a different conclusion. But for me personally, I think Generation X is the strongest of the three movies. After that, I would probably go Fantastic Four, but only because the Justice League of America costumes are so bad. I cannot stand how bad those costumes are. I do not know why anybody let those costumes see the screen. Um, Followed by the Fantastic Four. Those two very close in my book. Yeah, very close in my book because I probably enjoyed Justice League of America a little more, but also it was my first watch of that. Like the other two, I kind of knew what to expect, so maybe that's an unfair comparison. But anyhow, yeah, I would rank them Generation X, Fantastic Four, Justice League of America. But like I said, the last two very close. Really, all three aren't separated by that much. I had a fun time with all three. I will link to Justice League of America in the comments. I will link to Generation X in the comments. And I will poke around and see if I can find Fantastic Four in the comments or not. But have you seen any of these? Let me know what you thought of any of them in the comments. And yeah, if you like this video, like, subscribe, share. You know, I want to hear some people on this one. Have you seen these? Let me know what you thought. And if you like this video or not, because, you know, I don't know. I would be up for doing more of this kind of stuff because I enjoyed watching these and talking about them with you. So, again, thanks guys. I'll catch you next time.